to Aware. We are dedicated to communicating information that inspires your positive growth and change. Are you interested in a peaceful planet? Are you interested in optimal health? Are you living with purpose? Are you enjoying your life? We realize each person can make a difference, and our mission is to empower your awareness. The choices that you make in every moment shape your life, and we encourage you to realize that you have your own answers and to always listen to your own truth. We invite you to stay aware.
Hello, 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 and welcome to our part 5 of our series with the most amazing Lisa Nichols. What we have been speaking about has uncovered the dangers of systemic racism, and we have caused people to create uncomfortable conversations. I've been in several of them with Lisa over this series, but for me, they're so filled with enormous, enormous love. And I am so grateful that you're joining us for this part of the series, because what we're talking about today is what can we do to make a difference? And I'm not talking about what they can do. I'm talking about what we can do as leaders in our lives, in our communities, in our homes, in our families, in our businesses, what we can do. It goes beyond vote, which, yes, that is necessary. And yes, that needs to change. But it is a daily action that you and I take that's going to make the difference. This is a people-driven movement, and it is not going away. And we've talked about that because change has to continually happen. Small steps in the right direction equal huge momentous steps. And I'm very excited about what has happened and what is happening. But we're going to create even more today. And so joining me in this incredible conversation is transformational leader Lisa Nichols. She has been a catalyst for change and transformation for millions and millions of people, over 30 million people on her global platforms. Motivating the Masses is her incredible platform, as well as Motivating the Teen Spirit, where she has saved the lives of countless thousands of teenagers through her platforms, through her teachings, through her best-selling books, including No Matter What, an amazing book, and Abundance Now. And I'm just so grateful to just have Lisa as my friend. I am so, so, so grateful for your time, because I know you are a busy lady.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Lisa. I'm excited to be back to continue this conversation. It's not a fad, and it's not a us against anyone. It's all of us together against social injustice on any topics, any level. So I'm excited that you've prioritized this on your platform, that you're using your power of voice for good. My father used to tell me when he knew that I had the gift of oration early on, and I would talk my brother out. I would talk my brother out of his candy. I would talk my cousins out of their. He would say, "Lisa, I want to challenge you, Lisa, to use your powers for good."
So this showed up early. I see.
Yeah, early. I didn't know it was there, but the adults in my life knew it was there. And so I want to honor you for using your power and influence for good. And I'm excited to be here with you again.
Well, I am grateful. It's interesting you tell that story, because every single time I see you speak, you do bring me to my knees. You bring me to tears, because I see that orator in you and how gifted she is. So thank you. I want to just do a quick follow-up from our last show.
Yeah.
We talked about the prison reform, and we had a very deep, beautiful conversation about that. And I promised our audience that I would look into some of the programs that I know are working. And I did find an amazing program that Reverend T.D. Jakes has been running for years. It's received many, many awards, the Obama Award and many awards. And it's called TORI. And it's called Texas Offenders Reentry Initiative. And I'm sure you know a little bit about it. You're shaking your head. So I'm really grateful for that. I promised that to our audience. I did the research. I looked up, I found it. And there are many others as well. That's just the one that I happen to have researched. There's one also called Uncommon Law, and that is for They actually provide lawyers to ensure that people who are incarcerated for any type of crime has access to a hearing, a justice, a legal system that is represented. So I wanted to follow up on that piece. That was
Thank
super
you for
important.
that.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Yes. And so talking about leadership, Lisa, we have been in this place of immediate action through demonstrating, through shows like these, through initiatives like the Million Letter Movement, so many different things. And that's incredible. That's immediate action where you can actually write to the police chiefs. And we talked about that in one of the series. 1 million letters being sent to police chiefs and mayors, and what can be done around the 8 Can't Wait. And that's really working, which is incredible. And
it is.
And then you and I spoke about intimate cultural proximity, and that's been our conversation throughout. And you have been in a very intimate cultural proximity conversation through art recently.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I'd love to hear more about this.
Yeah. So ICP, I just feel like it's about to be a part of our culture. And intimate cultural proximity is the concept that if we put ourselves connected to each other physically, it becomes very difficult for us not to have compassion for one another.
Yeah. But physically, how can we do that? Physically,
Right.
you meaning through...
Right. Well, through different forms, various forms. Number one, allowing for those of us who are parents, putting our children in the proximity, finding ways. I took my son, I think I shared with you in another show. I took my son to my girlfriend's Jewish Passover. And he was 9 or 10 at the time, I think. And I took him every year. And in the recent years, I haven't been able to go because of my schedule. But he recently got married and he took his new bride. And I love that has become a part of his experience. That's just who he is. And so that was intimate cultural proximity. And I know what it means. It means, well, do I go out and find a Black friend that I can hang out with? Well, it means put yourself in environments where you're learning about other cultures and it's in an intimate, relaxed place. It's not learning study. It's picnic when they resume. It's the way of worship. You can go online and look at some of the way of worship. When you're in someone's proximity and you pick up the likeness between you and them, then you can celebrate the difference that they have from you. I'll say that again. When you're around them enough, you can pick up the likeness that you have with them. That when you notice that a 5-year-old little Black child and a 5-year-old Asian child and a 5-year-old Jewish child and a 5-year-old child from Croatia and a 5-year-old child from South Africa, they all want a little bit of candy. They all want to run and jump all day. They all respond to a hug when they fall down. They all do that. So ICP, intimate cultural proximity, is my challenge to us to create programs and opportunities. They're not created yet. Some are created. They don't call it that. But this is our future. This is when we're moving from anguish, the anguish of George Floyd, the anger of George Floyd and everyone prior to George Floyd, to action. I say, along with the Million Letter Movement, along with voting, we gotta go vote, along with all of that. In the pot, I'm going to say throw some intimate cultural proximity, because otherwise you're going to learn about me, but you don't yet know me yet. And you and I could have this conversation. I can say anything to you that I'm feeling about this movement and be comfortable that our friendship's going to last, because I'm going to respect you. I'm going to honor your dignity, and our love has already been established. I love your baby loves me. I love your husband loves me. I'm family. I'm the extended Lisa.
Yes.
And so that came from ICP. We didn't design it and call it that, but from our intimate cultural proximity, we've already been doing it. And so for a lot of people like you, Lisa, it doesn't necessarily need to occur, but there's a whole community of our sisters and brothers who are white that it needs to occur with, so that the question marks can be, or the assumptions or the hearsay can all be replaced with a first-hand experience, which, by the way, will expand the compassion. It will expand the empathy. It's not going to give you life in black shoes. You'll never have that. Don't look for that. Just look for expanded compassion, expanded empathy, and that is engaged through ICP.
That makes sense, because yes, I have had that with you for a long time, but what we've been doing is educating and showing through our communication and our level of
Exactly.
connection what's
Exactly.
possible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
And so now
still
people
though,
have to go through their own experience. They have to also have their own experience.
and I've been really open. I would love to ask you this question. So I was listening to an interview with Trayvon Martin's mother, and when she heard George Floyd call out to his mother, it hit her in a different way because she lost her son. And I, as a mother, feel that, but I am not ever going to say I know how you feel,
You know what
because
it feels like. Mm-hmm.
I don't. And I
Right.
don't know what to say, Lisa. I
Right.
don't know what to say.
Right.
I
Right.
really would love, yeah.
Right. So she has become a friend of mine.
Ah,
She actually asked me to be the leading facilitator at the first ever Mother's Healing. She has an organization, and she put a conference on. Yeah, you have no idea.
ah, oof,
This was an event for mothers, all mothers who have lost a child to violence. And
ah,
there were 59 mothers there, and they were mourning the loss of 62 children.
ah,
And you have no idea. First of all, I didn't know how I was going to navigate this. I'd never been here before. I didn't lose my son. So I didn't even, from my perspective, I'm not a mother in mourning. But I do facilitate healing. So I can do that for them. And when I tell you, the 4 or 5 hours we spent together was the most riveting. I had every mother bring a picture of her child.
oh,
And I had every mother, because I noticed from the very beginning, these mothers wouldn't go on and live. The guilt they had living on past their children was
mm,
just too much to bear. So when they connected with each other, they all connected with each other in, how did your child die? That was the connection. How did they die? And immediately in the first 10 minutes of this event, I was like, whoa, this is going to be dark and heavy. And she and I had a powerful, I said, can I challenge you guys? And I had them begin to go around, and everyone had to share a funny story of their child. And all of a
oh,
sudden, the room lightened. All of a sudden, I said there were so many chapters of their lives before that last chapter, before that last rude, disruptive, unexpected, brutal chapter. There were so many other chapters. So for the time we're together, we're going to live in those previous chapters. So we honor
mm,
them. And it just lifted the spirit. And I walked them through some exercises, and I said, this is not to dishonor your loss, but it is to celebrate their life. And before it was over, I had every mother, if you can imagine this, hold up the picture to their child and say, I commit to you that I will live on and honor your life by living. And then they passed it to the mother to their right. And the mother to their right said the same thing to a child that they didn't know, but they knew. And they had to do it 62 times. Now, these women didn't cry,
mm,
Lisa. They wailed. They
uh,
wailed. They wailed. And so this exercise took us probably about 35, 40 minutes to do, because they're crying, and they had to choose to live on. And they had to choose to live on 62 times.
times.
Whew,
Wow.
when I tell you. And so, to your question, and I had to tell you that so you can understand that, I know I know how you
Thank
feel.
you.
And two, yeah, absolutely. I was the only woman there who hadn't lost her child. Right. And
Mm,
so I had to not get consumed with guilt,
yeah.
because I was sad for them, but I wasn't sad from losing my child. And so, number one, I would say when you're speaking to someone and you want to have compassion, and this is to everyone listening to my voice, you're speaking to someone, you want to have compassion, but you haven't had their journey.
Right, right.
Then say, I won't get it all right. I won't get it all right because I have no idea what it's like to walk a mile or a step in your shoes. Acknowledge that. Say it up front. Say it up front. I don't know. But what I will do is I will listen with an open heart to interpret as best as I can what it must feel like to stand in your shoes. That's what I will do. I will listen with no judgment. I will listen with no preconceived notion. I will not try to fit your experience in my shoes. I will do the work as much as I can, as much as I can, and then be bold about it as much as I can as a white woman who hasn't had the challenge of having to overcome her skin at any given
Wow.
time in my life. And that's the truth.
Right.
And that's where these conversations are rich because they give you some of the language. Don't try to change the language to make it yours. Borrow the language from your sister Lisa, because I can say what we want. I can say what we want. We want you to say, I have no idea. I'm coming from a place as a privileged white woman. I acknowledge that. On some days, honestly, I didn't even think about it. On other days, I now have to climb over the guilt of it. But what doesn't serve you or I is that I live in guilt. And so I'm going to
Yes.
rise above that. I'm going to, because I've been saying to all of my, as you know, all my white friends, please don't park in shame and please don't park in guilt, because together we're more powerful. And if you
Yes.
get sucked down that wormhole of guilt and that worm, because it can be very, very big, and that vortex can go because it's so much noise out there that
Right.
that's not where leaders want you to be. Not where African
Right.
American leaders want you to be, not where white leaders want you to be, not where brown leaders want you to be. As a leader, I want you to stand on your experience, not in your experience.
Well, look what you did for the moms. I mean, they died with
Ooh.
their sons essentially, and daughters. And when you gave them that joy, a little joy back,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
that
yeah,
gives life back. And
yeah,
wow, whoa,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
yeah,
I need to. I'm glad you mentioned her. I need to reach out to her again. She's been trying to get me every year thereafter, and so
yeah,
this is a time. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
wake up every morning and say, God, where should I serve today? And then when I see the 100 places, I go, okay, God, what are the 15 priority places to serve today? So,
Well, we are so grateful that you're here with us
yeah,
and serving in this huge population as well. And
absolutely.
there's a way that we're going to be able to connect with everyone on Facebook after these shows and get the conversations continuing, which is, I'm really
Okay.
grateful. Yes, this is because it
Oh,
doesn't stop here. Yes.
no,
And now
no.
you're
Here's the
doing this.
deal. Here's the deal. It starts here. That
Yeah.
we're doing all of this,
Right.
Lisa, to ramp people up. This is everyone's just been steeled in anguish, anger, frustration, defense, protection, shame, frustration. We've just been kind of listening and poking around. We're just about to begin. You and I, and every single person that can hear our voice, we're just about to start.
Good. Good. Yes. It's about time. I mean, yes. We're 5 days into this. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's a lot of solutions have come out of this entire series, and it's just been enormous. Now, you have something that you've been talking about the entire time I'm really excited about, called Spinema, and I think you've heard Lisa talking about this. What is it? Why were you moved to do this particular piece of art?
So I'm a spoken word artist. I'm an underexpressed,
Oh,
I'm not, I don't put that out there in front because
I didn't know that.
my calling in transformation just has been so big and so demanding. But I'm a spoken word artist at my core, and
Really?
yeah, to me it's one of my best kept secrets that I
I'm
just
not I'm just
I
yeah.
know, I know, and I love spoken word. And for a long time, I've wanted to do a piece across color lines, a culturally aware piece. But I didn't want to do a piece from a Black person talking to white people. I didn't want to do it talking about white people. I wanted to have this culturally aware piece, talking to someone that was white, and we find out how we can connect. I've been wanting to do that for years. You got to know that, you know me, I'm about unity across cultural lines, across religious lines, across geographical lines, economic lines. I love to build bridges where walls once exist. So I love to take the wall, melt it down, and build a bridge. That's just who I am. And so then everything happened around the social justice movement. I was like, okay, I can't. And I just kept saying, oh, I'm too busy, and yada yada yada. And then when that happened, I could not sleep at night. So I called my friend Sean, who's in the piece with me. He's the white guy. He plays the white character. And I said, Sean, we got to do it now. And he's like, okay. And then I started talking about it. And there's power in using your words. Because when you start talking about something, the universe just starts conspiring on your behalf. Then we meet David Bianchi. And David Bianchi is a spoken word artist who's actually doing spoken word, right? And he's a producer, and he produces this thing called Spinema. And Spinema is spoken word fused with cinema. And
It's
so
amazing.
it's amazing. And so instead of just doing a piece to the camera, you're like on a set with producers and directors. And so we got together, David and Sean and I set the tone. I want this black guy and this white guy to be saying their truth. I want them to say their truth, going at each other, pretty much how it is in the world, right? Everyone's right, wrong, right, wrong, right, wrong. And I want the consciousness to come up that there isn't a right, wrong. There's a your experience, my experience. Can we honor one another's experience? And can you join us to fight social injustice? This is not a black against white. And if you watch out, it can easily be turned into that. But then we missed the whole point. This is saying, will you join me, sister? And we go for social justice and require social justice, and social injustice and inequality is our enemy. Right? It's our enemy. And so we all then went to our respective corners and wrote verses. And then we came back, right? Then we came back and I listened to their verse because I wanted to be my character, not character, but character. She's the muse. She's the voice of reason. She's the let's grow. So the piece is called Let's Grow. The style is called Spinema, but the piece is called Let's Grow. And so you see the man, I open up, and then you see the men going back and forth, and they're just doing some just ugly stuff. And then I'll come in and insert, hold on. And so, and what's unique about this piece, Lisa, is that it's not written for blacks, and it's not written for whites who are already conscious and in the call for social equality. Who it's written for is white men and women who are saying, okay, I want to be there, but I need so it's not written to convert the racists. It's not written for them because they're not going to listen. So we're not trying to convert anyone. It's not written for those who are already in the cause and fighting the cause, because you get it. You something in you get it. It's the people in the middle. You know those people. They're your friends and mine. You just saw me present to them, and they're saying, listen, my heart says something needs to be done, but I don't know what to do. I'm not quite sure about all this stuff. I'm not ready to raise my fist and say Black Lives Matter. And no, by the way, that's okay. Not everyone's supposed to do that. Not everyone's supposed to do that. Your journey and your action may be something different, but action is required to be on the right side of history. And so we're talking to that group of people. And just to give you the opening line, I know you're going to play a little something. And by the way, no one has seen this. No one has seen this. No one has seen this. You're the only person that I sent it to. And I made you give me a pinky promise that it will not go anywhere else. But what you don't have is the opening line. And the opening line to the entire poem is, dear white sisters and brothers, committed to discover the truth. Consider this a public service announcement, curated, cultivated, and created just for you. If you're willing to be inconvenienced with the facts, be uncomfortable with the visual acts, and disrupted by where America is still at, face maybe your own limiting beliefs, have maybe hard conversations that pull the veil back, and acknowledge that world justice for all has never been intact. If you're willing, great, but beware. This road could be painful and filled with some hurt and even a bit of shame. Watch out. You may even be tempted to play the blame game because it's easier to stay ignorant, unaware, angry, and apart. But what if we confronted the truth within our hearts? Courageous cultural conversations. Ah, now that's a new art. That's the opening. You won't see that in the video, but
I see it in you. Oh, let's play a
yeah.
little of this so that you can get an idea. And truly, Lisa, like this is a behind the scenes shot of behind the scenes shot of just a piece of this conversation. We're going to play a couple of these so you can get the idea.
Let me say it's from my phone. So this is not from the main camera. This is my assistant recording in the corner. So it's unfiltered. It's not 4D HD. It's just literally us in the corner capturing a little bit. So when you see the movie, it's movie quality.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, I can't wait. Yes. And it's important you say that too. This piece is addressing that all lives matter question. Let's take a look.
Camera set. And action.
Black lives matter. That's all chit chat. Y'all just want to fight. The real truth is all lives matter. And I want to apologize for being white. Black lives don't even matter to you, or else you'd stop killing them yourself. Most blacks are killed by blacks. Y'all don't even need the cops to help. And you say it's systemic. Yeah, they were treated bad. That was what, 400-some years ago. I didn't kill anybody. But you think my white skin still makes me guilty. I'm sick of you calling me racist. I don't even see color. We're all the same. You're the only racist here. Always looking for a skin tone to blame. More white people are killed by police each year. Check the stats, man. I'm speaking facts. But we don't riot, kill cops, or burn down buildings, or any other of these animal acts.
All lives matter. Yeah, they do. But for all lives to matter, that has to include me and you, because if black lives don't matter, all lives can't matter, dude. And your stats are BS. I'll get to that a little bit later, too. Look, white folks have been playing things since before colonization. Let's take Michelangelo. Because in 1477, there were only white people painted on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Hello? And the world's been pushed to worship white since before the Renaissance, guys. The only way that Jesus was white was if he had one. Because you're happy to watch Denzel and glorify LeBron James, and you love to get a selfie with Morgan Freeman because he's got fame. What if we hold on to beat the king, dragged to the ground and sprayed in United States? What if it was me? Might as well be the bit. 17 rounds of clock clip. I shouldn't be terrified of the light.
Okay, don't cut, guys. Let's just do it one more time from the top.
Wow, that's just the beginning. That's just the start of the conversation. We have a couple more clips that I want to show you, but what was happening in that scene?
So in that scene, it's Sean, who is the white character. He's confronting Black Lives Matter. Like, Black Lives Matter, that's just, what are you saying? All lives, because that's the big thing. So the argument that's out there is, if you say Black lives, you're diminishing the fact that anyone else matters. And then you see David come back and says, yeah, all lives matter, but that means too, if Black lives don't matter, then that all lives can't matter, dude. Like, so he's saying that if you treat a Black life like it doesn't matter, then all lives don't matter. Like, you're saying all lives matter, but then you're treating a Black life, when you put your foot on his neck until he dies, you're treating that life like it doesn't matter. And so David's whole point is, yeah, all lives matter, But if you don't have both lives, if Black lives are not treated like they matter, then all lives can't matter, dude. And so that's his comeback to really, we address, and Sean did this phenomenal piece where Sean surveyed and really engaged to see what are some of the things that white people who want to understand, but they're in the middle, they're not racist, but they're not on the Black Lives Matter. What are they saying? What's that reason why there's a gap? And then we literally drop those points inside of this piece so that we could address that. And we can say, okay, well, yeah, all lives. So you'll see throughout the piece, it's about 15 minutes. So it's a cinema, it's a short film. And we're addressing it, and it gets pretty heated at some times. And then we find our way back, and it's a beautiful, beautiful culmination. It's beautiful. There was tears. There was tears on the set. It was tears from everybody on the set.
I can imagine. I want you to see this next piece where Lisa just is like a queen, and you're speaking this. Did you write this piece? I could hear it. I could hear your voice coming through in this piece. Yes. Yeah. Let's take a look at this. Queen Lisa.
Action.
When I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not saying that brown and white lives don't. I'm a mother. If my son gets pulled over, I just want him to be just as safe as your son. That's all I want. Your life matters. Yes, it does. But did you really need for me to say that? Honestly, I didn't have to, because our different neighborhoods, educational system, justice system, and all of history has shown you that this is true. This is not a competition of whose life matters the most. This is a call for you, my sister, my brother, to stand up for all lives, but stand up close. Enough of the shrinking thinking like modern day racism isn't real. Evict the stinking thinking that anger is all I feel, and challenge the sinking thinking that this will all be over soon and it's no big deal.
Beautiful. Let's go again right away.
Oh, my goodness. My goodness. I could feel and hear your voice coming through about the stinking thinking and about what that really means. I mean, the resonance of your presence and your compassion and your love, but your authority comes through.
What if you were done? What if you said, I'm done defending? I didn't even know I was defending.
Yes.
I'm done comparing. I'm done thinking that if I acknowledge that this wrong has been done, then it means that I'm wrong. I'm done with that. I want to challenge my stinking thinking that there's nothing wrong. I want to challenge my stinking thinking that this aggression and this anger is not validated. And I didn't send you the most intense piece that I did, which answers the question, why are y'all so angry? Like, I answer that, and I answer that in a very poetic piece. But I allow, for the first time, Lisa, I allow myself to show my anger. I allow myself to show my anguish. And I realize that as a Black woman who's in transformation and in self-help, I've never given myself permission to touch that type of anger in the last 20 years, and definitely not publicly, and definitely not in front of my white sisters and brothers. And so in this piece, once you see the final piece, you'll see I gave myself permission to touch it so that you can feel it. And then I come out of it to go, I have that. And I'm still equally as committed to us moving forward, but that's real. And so it answers the question, well, why are you angry? And so there's some very riveting pieces that I didn't even want to give you today because and Sean reads them, the white character. He actually begins to, David throws him a book and tosses the book to him and says, read for yourself what happened. And Sean becomes aware of the edited history. And I got to tell you, Black Americans, when they hear this, are going to be floored. You're going to be shocked. We're going to be floored because it's so riveting. And so Yeah, if we answered the questions, why all lives matter, why are you saying Black lives matter? Um, the whole can you what's the thinking, the current day thinking to go, we're
Right.
equal. Let's stop. We're equal. Let's all we're
Yeah.
all I don't and like you started on our first interview, you said I don't see color. Oh, okay, that's a luxury. That's a luxury. So
Right.
you don't see color, and I'm always in living color, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
that kind of stuff to
Yes.
go. And you, I love what you said. You said, I remember you stopped me in that interview. You said, I got it. You just
Mm.
educated me. And
Oh, yeah.
you took that and you put that in your backpack.
Yep.
And
Yep.
now when you walk with that awareness. Will you get it wrong
Well,
again? Will you say, so yeah, but
no.
that one I've already done.
Changed
And
me
I wasn't,
forever.
and I wasn't
Absolutely.
offended. And I wasn't offended. You need me to help
Yes.
you understand. Like, we're in a partnership here. And what we've done here over the last week, over the last several weeks, we've gotten in partnership. And that's what this whole piece is about. It's going to sting. This piece is going to sting. It's going to sting white people. It's going to sting people of color. It's going to sting Black people. But I also believe it's going to inspire you. It's going to answer some questions. It's going to clarify some things. You're going to want to watch it a couple of times, a few times, just to hear all the lyrics. The lyrics are packed. I mean, it's a lot of education in those
Yes.
lyrics.
Beautiful. How did that feel to you to tap
Huh.
into that raw anger, Lise?
Scary. It was scary. It
Yeah.
was scary because um, I didn't know if I'd come out of it.
Mm.
I had to, I call it touch the bottom of my belly. I had to touch the bottom of my belly. And in the first line of that particular verse, it says, "This is the anguish and anger of our ancestors. Their exhaustion runs through my veins. I'm tired from my great grandmother's journey, and I'm angry. I'm angry from my granddaddy's pain. This anger isn't new. I've hid it from you for years. I smile when you pass me to accommodate what you can handle. But at night, I cry their tears."
Mm. Mm.
And so it
I
was scary.
I follow you on Instagram and I watched you have a reuniting with your grandmother. And I saw that reuniting in a different way than
Yeah.
I've ever seen it. I did,
Mm.
because I saw her in a different way. And
Yes.
from what her body is dealing with now is the years and years of the pain, but the life that you have given
Yes.
her has helped her walk through that or with
Yes.
that pain. But I see it in her
Yeah.
body.
And and to and the level of what's the proper word? I want to use the proper word. The level of absolute non-negotiable that we need you to have is to say, why would that 91-year-old woman go through something and now her granddaughter has to still live with the same thing?
Yes.
Like, unacceptable. That's the unacceptable to go. If we all can get there, it's not a black white. It's this progress. We should be, all of us, going, progress is required. We're able to put a man on the moon. We're able to go from a rotary dial to a touch tone dial to a cordless dial to a cell phone. We're able
Yeah.
to go from an album, an LP, to remember we had the first things we had the then we went to a no we went to an eight track tape, album, CD, right, iPod, or
iPod.
remember
Mm.
iPod, and now we're wireless everything. If we can have that kind of progress, you mean to tell me we can't have social justice,
I know. I
social
know.
equality? Shame on us. Shame on us. Now, let me be honest with you. That's not shame on us as African Americans, because we're not in the place of power. That's where you have to own it and go, you know what? You know what? This lift is on us. This now, it's not just on you. It's me with you because I got to get out and vote as well as you. But this part of movement is going to require you to co-pilot. This is not a follow.
Yes.
This is a co-pilot.
Yes, and I accept that. Absolutely accept that. And I've started the show this way: is all of us as leaders in our lives, and if it's in your family and you're a mother and you need to re-educate your children because it's not in the history books the right way.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner and you can mentor. If you're a white business owner, you can mentor a Black business and go through accounting classes together, go through all of the proper business training. Maybe you go through it together. I didn't.
Listen, I run a multi-million-dollar business right now. I'm not saying that to brag. I have a global company because my white brothers embraced me and said, ask me anything. And they answered. One's in my phone right now. Pete Bissonette is in my text right now, checking on me and my family. Like, I know I am the CEO I am today because older white men, I raised my hand and said, help me. Or they raised their hand and said, you got a talent, but you need to know business. Let me show you business. And I was like, okay, like they blessed me. And I was afraid at first. I was afraid because I didn't know him. I'm not around. I didn't hang around white men. You know, that's the biggest chasm gap, a Black woman and a white man. I didn't hang around white men. And so I was afraid. But more than I was afraid of them, I was afraid of living a life only a version of myself. So my passion, show up, my commitment, my conviction, that outweighed my fear of being around this unknown group of people called white men. And then over the years, they're my brothers from another mother. Like, you know, that's listen, that's intimate cultural proximity. I have it with them now. So
that is
really, magic happens.
Yes, that is. And so there's so many things that we can do, but that's a beautiful story. And I mean, it comes from voting, yes, but you've also got to get into your own community and vote for what your own personal vote can be of using your voice. And that's what we've been talking about. So
voting is non-negotiable because in voting, you are in the conversation. If you're not voting, then you're on the sidelines complaining about the outcome. But if you are not in the position, if you're not putting yourself in positions to influence the outcome, then you have no right to complain about the outcome that was created without you. And so get in on the field. It's not enough to be in the stands. Everyone has to be on the field now, everyone more than anything right now. And it's not black, white. It's us against any form that doesn't feel like it's injustice. I want to keep saying that because the color and people, those who are preaching divisiveness, they want it to be, they're either preaching divisiveness because divided we're weaker, or they're ignorant to what is really the highest calling here. And so they're doing a low vibration conversation. So a low vibration conversation is black against white. That's a low vibration conversation. A low vibration conversation says every time someone says Black Lives Matter, they're saying that yours don't. That's a low vibration conversation. So I'm going to invite anyone who can hear my voice, hear your voice, climb the ladder to the high vibration conversation that says, what we say when we say Black Lives Matter is, I don't want a foot or a knee put on your child's neck. Don't allow one to be put on mine. That's all I'm saying is please don't allow one. Don't allow my children to be in danger because of the color of their skin. Please stand with me. A high vibration conversation says things that don't look like equality for people of a particular gender preference or a gender or a social economic level, that's uncivilized and it's unfair. And we've come too far. And I know we can talk about how America started and how brutal it was. I know we can talk about that. But I'm interested in talking about how America moves forward.
Yes.
So if it was built on brutality, shame on them. Now, are you going to be with me to change the way we operate and the way we be with each other?
It is, yes. And it is, I believe, finally all eyes are on the same page here. If somebody sees something, somebody says something now. You've got social media to prove it, which is enormous. I mean, that's how we got the video in the first place. It's the people. It's the power of the people. And we know what's right and we know what's wrong. We're human
Right,
beings.
right,
And
right,
so,
right. And we are the majority. We are the
yes.
majority. We, the people, can change this society. We, the people, can do it.
And the belief factor is there too. That is in play more than ever, is that everybody believes in this conversation. It's no
Yeah.
longer of, oh, well, that happened to you or that happened to them. It's not. It's in now.
And
It
it's
is
no
the
longer,
collective meme.
and it's no longer that happened back then,
Right.
because
Mm.
Trayvon Martin showed that it doesn't. George Floyd shows that it doesn't. It's not back then. It's not a back then thing now. And so there's enough awakeness. I call it the awake. There's enough awakeness and enough awareness. And through these little devices, there's enough connectivity between us to go, if we all agree to stand together for social justice and for the right to be done and the wrong to be eliminated, I think we can influence something. And the
I
answer
do
is
too.
yes, we can.
Yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yes, yes. I've been there. Yes, yes. Let's watch this last piece because this ties together what we're talking about. It ties together the series. It ties together beyond this series. And so just take a look here where Lisa, we're talking about bringing all of this together. There's a specific word that's used here. Take a look.
There's a way that we can connect, but we have to use our words.
Allow our hearts to speak.
No, this might hurt.
The solutions are right here. I know that to be so.
You are.
I am.
We're here. Let's grow.
Cut! Beautiful!
Yes. What a moment. Let's grow. Let's grow.
Yeah.
And that's the
And there's
title
a
of the
beautiful
piece.
scene right after that. There's a beautiful piece right after that where we both walk off set, and Sean's character, the white guy, is just sitting there and he's just perplexed because those books that you see, he actually opened them and he got all this awareness, and that's how he was educated. And he's sitting there by himself and he's just looking at it. You can feel the weight of the world on this new awareness. Probably, Lisa, what you felt over the last few months.
Yes.
The weight of the world, when those who are compassionate and open and empathetic and aware and want justice, all of a sudden you've had this veil pulled out.
Woo.
And
That rings a bell. Yes.
yeah, it
Yes.
rings the bell. You got this veil pulled out, and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, now I know, what do I do with that? And the weight. So he's sitting there and his hands are in his head and he's just like, whoa. And then in the scene comes this hand, this black hand, and he looks up at him, and it's the guy that he's been going back and forth with. And that sign, that's the symbol of, I'm not going to leave you in this awareness by yourself. You're not alone. You won't be left alone here. And he grabs, there's just this long gaze. He looks up and then he grabs his hand and he pulls him up and they walk off together. And it's just beautiful. It's a very special piece that I'm very proud of.
So how do we know? How do we learn about this? How do we watch it? What do we do?
So yeah, like we just got through shooting like days ago. Like it's like I'm still chanting the poetry at night, thinking I'm preparing for it. So number one, please go to my website and sign up to be on our mailing list, because we're gonna let it be known to our community first. So you can go to motivatingthemasses.com and just sign up to be on our mailing list. That's number one. You're going to mail out about it, I know. So make
yes.
sure you know that the Lisa Garr, all things Lisa Garr, because I'm asking 40 of my friends, and what we're asking is for people to host watch parties, virtual watch parties. If they want to get a little bigger, and definitely watch parties with their intimate circle, and then talk about the 3 questions that we're going to pose and put out there, so that at the same time, when we do the launch, because we're going to launch it all at the same time and have everyone kind of watch it inside of this period of time, you have all of these delicious dialogues going on. So you have daring dialogues happening all around the world. And then at the end of the film, don't click too soon, because at the end of the film, I'm going to come back and I'm going to invite you to register for Courageous Cultural Conversations and Intimate Cultural Proximity. You'll register, and that will be exclusively for a nationwide, global Courageous conversation that we're going to be hosting. Yeah, and it's just going to get good. And then we'll be hosting these conversations on an ongoing basis. And then we're going to graduate into a Courageous Conversation Intimate Cultural Proximity training. So leaders like you, leaders like myself, who want to train and have conversations, because I'm being bombarded with requests. I can't do them all, and the few people can't do them all. And so if you're a leader and you want to be trained, we're actually going to do trainings after we've had this dialogue for a little bit. So just know that I'm preparing in the January, a few months to come, start launching the training for those who've been in the conversation. You have to be in the conversation first before you even qualify to step into the training.
Can you give us an idea of the questions that we're pondering? Do you have those? Or is this the...
Yeah, no, it's good. I love it. So there are going to be some deep questions. And one of the question is, what was revealed to you? One question will be along this line. What was revealed to you that cracks open even more compassion that you didn't know before? Like
good.
What was revealed to you? Because Blacks will have that experience and whites will have that experience, because Sean's character, the white guy, says some stuff. I go, oh my God, I never knew that. Right now, Sean isn't representing all of white America. He's just representing himself, right? And there's a really great interview I did with Sean in between shots. I said, can I talk to you? And I asked him, I said, how are you doing this? How are you saying this? And he goes, because it's how what I believed years ago. He goes, this isn't a character for me. This is my previous thinking. He said, it's hard for me to go back there. So I got great behind the scenes video of that. And so I'm gonna, when you watch the release of it, we also gonna trail it with some of the behind the scenes interviews. And then you're gonna go into a dialogue to go, what was revealed that was shocking to you? And it cracked open some compassion, right? And then the other part is what triggered you?
Okay.
Where in this 15 minutes did you get defensive?
Wow, that's going to be amazing. Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Call it out, open it. What triggers you? I so appreciate just you and being here and spending this time with us and everything you represent. I know that you're being requested all over the planet and that we actually got to see the behind the scenes footage. And I love you so much and support you in everything you do.
Amen.
And I'm not just going to say, hey, are you available for the show? But hey, I miss you. I'm coming to the Bahamas and as soon as we can fly.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's plan for, and by the way, the piece just got shot. But we're working rapid fire. So this will be released in the next 6 weeks. Like it's not going to be this is not like 5 months coming. This is the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks at tops, but we're more like 6 weeks. It's going to be out there. And so we're looking for partners that are willing to put the word out, mail the word, pull it out, not just blast it that people should watch it, but like get behind it and go, you have to see this. Like this is a real deal conversation.
And I'm sure you're going to be on Instagram talking about this as well. So that's also another great place.
Yep.
But
and you'll have trailers. we're going to make trailers for the 15-minute piece. So it's pure cinema. We're going to make trailers, and we're going to ask our partners to use the trailers to get people registered, because you're going to have to register to watch it initially, and then we're going to let it off to the rest of the world. So we want you to register to watch it initially, so we have a community, and then we're going to let out to the world probably a week after we let it out to everyone that's registered. So we want your people to be the first. I want you guys to be the first. So make sure when you see that, register here for the Let's Grow Courageous Cultural Conversations piece. Yeah, it's going to be free to watch. We just want to get it out there. So it's going to be good.
Oh my God, that's even more amazing. That's even more amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I want to talk with you forever, but I'm going to continue with you on this next piece of the film and cultural, courageous conversations. And I love you so much, and you know that, and I can't say it enough.
I love you, sis. I love you. My name, Twinsy.
my Lisa, and the sisters. We are the Cult Jam. All right, I love you. Until next time, I invite you all to please stay aware. Thank you.
Amen.